Hello everyone, welcome to our business articles class. Today we will discuss about the measures of dispersion. So the dispersion is the variability in the size of the items. The size of the item in a series is not uniform. The dispersion measures the extent to which the items vary from the central value. The measures of dispersion provides an average of the differences of various items from an average. So it is called average of the second order. Mean, median, mode, geometric mean, harmonic mean, etc. are all average of the first order. So measures of dispersion help to study the variability between various series. Now the objectives of measuring dispersion to test the reliability of an average, to make a comparative study of the variability of two series, and to serve a basis for control of variability, then to facilitate the use of other statistical techniques. And the features of a good measures of dispersion will be, it should be rigidly defined. It should be based on all observations of the series. It should not be affected by sampling fluctuations. It should not be unduly affected by extreme items. It should be capable of further mathematical manipulation. It should be easy to calculate. Then the types of measures of dispersion: algebraic measures and graphical measures. Algebraic measures will have two categories. One is absolute measures. Next one is relative measures. So absolute measures also we can divide with four components. One is range, then quartile deviation, standard deviation, and mean deviation. Then relative measures are coefficient of range, then coefficient of variation, coefficient of quartile deviation, and coefficient of mean deviation. So the algebraic measure of dispersion means mathematical way to calculate the measure of dispersion. So the example will be calculation of standard deviation or coefficient of variance by using numbers and formulas. It includes absolute measures and relative measures of dispersion. The graphical measures of dispersion is the way to calculate the measure of dispersion by figures and graph. It is a visual way of measuring dispersion. Sometimes it cannot give the actual result. It helps the reader to have an idea about the dispersion practically at a glance. The absolute measure of dispersion, when we measure the dispersion and express it in terms of original data, it is called an absolute dispersion. Absolute measure of dispersion cannot be used for comparison purposes if expressed in different units. Various absolute measures are range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, then variation. The relative measure of dispersion, absolute measure of dispersion is not useful to make comparison between two more distributions which are expressed in different units. For measuring such variability, we can use relative measure of dispersion. It is also called coefficient of variation. Following are the important measure of dispersion: coefficient of range, coefficient of quartile deviation, then coefficient of mean deviation, and coefficient of variation. Here we can discuss the difference between absolute and relative measure of dispersion. So the absolute measure, it has the variable unit. In relative measure, it has no unit. And it is not expressed in terms of percentage, it is expressed in terms of percentage. This is calculated from original data and it is based on absolute measure of dispersion. Then absolute measure of dispersion is not generally used for comparison. Relative measure of dispersion is used to compare variability of two series. Thank you. We will see you with the next question. With problematics we will discuss. Thank you.